Good morning, ladies. How are you? Happy Monday.
Morning.
Morning, morning.
Good morning. I hope you all had I don't know if it's a relaxing weekend, but hopefully you got some time to breathe and relax. I know,
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, I know it was a big weekend with getting those rough drafts in and uh, figuring everything out. And now we're at week 4, which is crazy. It is the last week. Um, so first of all, I want to congratulate you all for getting here. It really is an accomplishment. The first month is an adjustment, to say the least. Trying to figure out your way around the FSO platform, how Full Sail actually works, and the breakdown of the weeks and getting used to the turnover. It's just not like a regular semester, and it goes pretty fast. So I want to congratulate you guys for getting to this point. Um, I will say that I am so pleased with our section. Um, we still have a full section in week 4, which is amazing. The last couple of months, it's been a lot of just people not being prepared, I guess, which is it's not easy. You know, it's not easy for adjustment. So the fact that we have everybody in this section is amazing, and congratulations to you all. Today's session is not really long. It's basically going over what is next and what to do for week 4. You have done all the work. In my opinion, the most heavy part of the class is pretty much over. You have done the plans. You've extensively researched your ideas and came up with a developed idea on how you are going to start to build. So you already had the meat of your meat and potato plate. Now all you have to do is accent it with potatoes and maybe some butter and I don't know what cheese, whatever, bacon, whatever you like to complement those mashed potatoes. And it, I'm gonna go through since last night was when you uploaded the first drafts. I'm gonna go ahead and download them today, and I'll be looking for design mostly. Um, I've went extensive when it comes to your plans and break everything down. Especially, I use the Simon Sisnak Golden Circle, so that's how I broke down your feedback for your plans, and I paid a lot of attention to content. So for this time around, what I'm going to be looking for mostly is design, to see that you took my feedback in the plans and you applied those concepts that Nancy has introduced to us this entire month. You know, are you practicing alignment and proximity? Are you paying attention to too much chaos going on any one slide? So blanketed, I'm going to expect for the final that you're looking at the plans, my feedback from the plans. You're going to look at the feedback that I provide for your rough draft, which is not going to be as intense as it was for the plans. And you are going to utilize the peer feedback assignment for this week um, to give each other support and offer insightful comments, offer some suggestions. And we're going to go through how to give and receive feedback in a few moments. But I really want you guys to rely on each other this week. It's all going to be about you sharing those ideas and sharing those that constructive feedback with each other to help when it comes time for that final presentation to be spectacular, because you have built this community the entire month, and you have all this awesome information to do the necessary tweaks and submit an awesome final presentation. Okay, so a few things. I guess what I want to start off with is, do you guys have any questions on the previous weeks? Do you have any questions or concerns or something that has been on your mind that you want to ask? Okay, cool. Okay, Kristen is all set to go. That's good.
I think so.
And Grace, awesome. Awesome. Okay, so the first thing that I want to address, because I saw some of the same mistakes when I open up the first drafts, and this is something that I shared since week 1. Now, it's present company excluded, of course. You guys, you've been to every go-to session and you do things very diligently, and you're great show for it. You guys are pretty spectacular when it comes to being on top of things. So this is mostly for those that will be watching, and there really isn't. Like I said, this is a great section. Just some things get overlooked, and again, the first month is an adjustment. So if you are doing your final presentation and you're creating a video, or you are using online programs such as Prezi or Google Drive, by utilizing their presentation software, anything that generates a link, you have to make sure that you are not uploading that movie file, because you will get an error. The movie files are huge, and they need to be hosted at a YouTube channel or Vimeo or Vidler, whatever you use to house your videos. Once that happens, a lot of the concern is, I don't want my video public, and it's fine. YouTube, in the past year, has created an option for unlisted right here. So all you have to do is, when you publish your video, you list it as unlisted, and you make sure that anyone with the link can view. Okay. Once that's done, it will generate a URL. Same thing with Prezi, same thing with Google Drive. And what I need for the submission is a Word document with your name, student ID number, and a link. And the Word document is what you are uploading to the platform. Now, I say this because after you leave this class, it is expected that you know how to submit files correctly. I'm trying to save you a bunch of stress in the future, because I will tell you that if your file is not submitted correctly and there's a red check mark, that gives your instructor an indication that instructions weren't followed. And they're going to expect that in creative presentation, you were given that information. And you're also given that information in orientation as well. But they're expecting that in creative presentation, you know how to submit a file. And this may assess a 0 if it's in the future if it's not submitted correctly. So please, please go into my announcements, anything that will make you remember, make sure that you have that information somewhere on your desktop, that just in case you forget, you have reference. Cool? I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to who's in the room right now, but I needed to address that. Okay. Well, my control panel gets in the way. I apologize. Okay. Just a few things as we're preparing for the tweaks in our final presentation. And there are three concepts or ideas when it comes to noise that would be distracting when you are presenting material. And this goes for whether or not you're live in front of an audience or you are creating a video of your presentation. So, first one is credible noise. And credible noise has to do with you as the mentor. It is the view of the audience as you as a mentor. So, what could be factors in building up credibility noise that will negatively affect your presentation? And the first one is a negative first impression. Can anyone give me an example of how, as a presenter, how can you give off a negative first impression, rather? Anyone want to take a shot at that? How could you give off a negative first impression right off the bat? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Amanda says you're not seeming interested in your audience. Wow, that's awful. That is awful. Could you imagine the vibe in the room if you have no interest in your audience? And going back to pretty much the very first week of creative presentation, where we went into how the audience is your hero. So definitely, if you don't seem interested in the audience and you pretty much are speaking just to hear your own voice, that can definitely give off a negative first impression. What else? And remember how people judge us, what the first thing that they judge us by. Okay, what if you came into a presentation wearing there we go. Amanda, you're on my wavelength. Yes, inappropriate clothing. could you imagine going into an interview for the Apple company in ripped jeans and an off-the-shoulder blouse? You know, that may be cool to go out with your girlfriends, but in a professional environment, it may be misconstrued as not being prepared or not really knowing what the company is about. So it depends on your environment. You know, with anything, it depends on your environment. It depends on the situation. So knowing your audience, again, going back to week one, is extremely important. Another thing is no common ground. Okay, so this has to deal with maybe bringing forth an idea that is over the heads of many people in your audience. Someone that, or an audience that has a disconnect to your purpose or your message. Really having, it could be someone that holds a PhD in medical science, and your classroom is a bunch of your audience is a bunch of fifth graders, and you're presenting material about the necessity of what am I looking for? Like, you could be the necessity of higher education. Now, there could be arguments with that, like they should start realizing that when they're in their youth and thinking about that, but they're kind of far removed from thinking about college and thinking about things that have to financially setting things in place when they're in fifth grade. So having no common ground could disconnect your audience and, you know, disengage them. They don't have any buy-in to what you're saying, and you need that buy-in in order for your idea to spread. Another one is imbalance in emotional appeal. Now, the best, I guess, the best example that I can come up with is, have we seen Sarah McLachlan's SPCA commercial? Okay. Can you sit through that whole thing? No. And one thing is, because it is a bit over the top, it does not have to be an 8-minute long PSA. Do you agree? Okay. So some of those images, it could be 30 seconds and you get the same idea. I, for one, I have to mute the TV and leave the room. I can't even be in the same room. It's so intense. So an imbalanced emotional appeal is pretty much shoving it down people's throats. I know that that's kind of a negative, but you can overdo it. Is what I'm trying to convey. Like, you can overdo it, and overdoing it can make your audience shut off as well, because they're like, oh my god, enough already. You know, I get the point. I get that there are sad puppies and kittens and they need love and to be adopted. But you have those images on top of that song, on top of, it's an overload. And the last thing, credibility is not established. So, just as a review, how can we, as the mentor, as the presenter, establish our credibility so we build trust with our audience? How can we do that? Okay, Amanda, go ahead.
You could say, why you're doing the presentation, like you have a certificate and whatnot, or you've been overseas and you know what it's like to witness, something in specific that you're giving a presentation for, or like if you're asking for money and they're like, well, how do you know? You're over here just giving a presentation. You explain yourself as, yes, I understand why I'm giving this presentation. I've been there, I've seen it, or I've graduated from it. I've been in whatever it is you are presenting.
Absolutely. So I like that you use the why. The why is so strong in getting or hooking your audience's attention. It gives them insight to your heart, and in order like in order for your audience to trust in you, you are sharing those moments with them. You're sharing that experience that you went through with them. So absolutely, knowing that knowing that you have experienced what you are talking about and what you are trying to provide, and the reasoning behind your idea is that experience and that knowledge. So absolutely. Cool. Okay, experiential noise. The first one I come across a lot, especially online. Presentation is too long. Now, when it comes to the final presentation, and I told you guys not to worry about this with the first draft, because it gives us opportunity to help you out, whether you have to extend your presentation or you have to cut some some of the repetitiveness. But the final presentation is a minimum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 4. When a presentation goes on too long, it's mainly because there's no focus and ideas are getting away from the presenter. There is a lot of extraneous information that isn't necessary. There's going off on tangents. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm far from perfect, and I'm sure that there was some of our go-to sessions where we veered off track a little bit and got into conversation. That happens naturally, but it could distract your audience from purpose, especially if you don't tie it back to what you're saying. So a presentation going too long can make the message and purpose get lost. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, distracted body language. Now, again, I speak from experience, and that's really all my knowledge comes from, and it's all any one of us. Our knowledge comes from experience. So, I had no idea until I had to be videotaped for my national board certification when I worked in public school. Now, I understood that I'm both a New Yorker and I'm Italian. So I already knew this about myself, but I did not know how exaggerated I was until I looked at myself on video. And yes, we're notorious for talking with our hands, um, but I didn't know to the extent that I talked with my hands. So mainly, going through this process where you're planning your presentation, rough draft, and you're practicing, it makes you start to realize things about yourself. So distracting body language could be just that. It could be distracting, especially if you're pacing back and forth at a rapid speed. If your arms are flailing all over the place, uh, it's just an awareness. Another is underprepared or unrehearsed. Your audience will pick up on this almost immediately. Um, it's on the same token, like being unprepared can hurt you because your thoughts and your delivery is not going to come out in the smooth flow. It's going to be this constant trying to come up with ways to improv or um, cover the fact that you're underprepared or you don't really know your story or your material. But at the same token, you can be over prepared. There is that danger. What happens if you practice too much? What do you think can happen if you practice too much? Kristen, go ahead.
I think you almost sound rehearsed. You
Yeah,
sound like you're just standing there reading off a piece of paper, even though you're not. And you have it memorized in your head, but you sound like it, like almost like a broken record, kind of just that monotone.
absolutely. And I think Amanda agrees with you. She says you sound like a robot. Um,
Yep.
and it's true. I giggle too, but it's true. You just the way that I describe it, it's hard to do this online, but when I talk to my campus class, I allude this to when you're 12, 13-year-old boy and you're going on your first date and you're standing in front of the full length mirror and you're practicing how you are going to approach the girl and you're going to say hello to her or and I go through all these gestures like hi, how you doing, or I make the pointing gesture like hey, and changing your voice and going through all these different scenarios, and then I ask them, does it ever turn out the way that you want it to turn out? And all the guys in my class just shake their head and they're like, no, it doesn't. So, um, it you don't leave room for those little things that can happen to change. So if you are over rehearsing, you're not leaving room for those questions or those comments. It's just this one track, and you're not allowing other things to happen. Um, and that can trip you up. Like one question could trip you up, and you're like, "Oh my God, I what am I gonna do?" and it almost becomes like an OCD moment, like you have this programmed in your head, and now there is a deferment, and you're not prepared to react to that deferment. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And the last one is poor environment. This has to do with, especially with you guys online, and if you are doing a video, this simply means bad lighting, um, literally outside noise, interference and echo. You kind of look like a silhouette because there isn't the best lighting. So you want to be conscious of your environment and be prepared for such. Even if it means bringing another lamp into the room just to offset how dark the background looks. And the last one is schematic noise. And here, I just said it, but too many filter words. And this can happen so naturally. In conversation, we do this all the time. It's something that is innate in conversation. We'll say ums and ahs and likes. Another word that comes up very often is basically or actually. These are all transition words that, there I go again, come up very periodically. Now, it's not to say you guys are at the very beginning of this whole journey. It's not to say this won't happen, because I know that it will. I do it myself. I know that it will. Just have an awareness and understand that it does happen. Be conscious of it. That's all I would ask at this point. And the use of too much jargon. The way that I relate this to, it goes beyond being that PhD medical doctor using terms from Grey's Anatomy to teach elementary school students. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond just words. I usually equate this as females and even as males, we have groups of people that know us inside and out. And we have this unspoken language, whether it is our girls, whether it is our boys, or a mixture of both. If you are a close-knit group, you have an unspoken language. I know with my girlfriends, all we have to do is look at each other and you understand what the other person is saying. So if you are a tight-knit group of girls and then one of you has a brand new girl that is working at your office and you want to do the nice thing and offer her to come out with you, this is where the uncomfortableness starts to play, because that one girl is amongst a tight-knit group of girls and you have that unspoken language and you're laughing at inside jokes. Imagine how that new girl feels. And that's what you can do to your audience. Things that are inside jokes or go over their head could disconnect because they don't get it. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. Understand that there's always room for improvement. this picture is a real picture, and it's called Camp Failure. I know that sounds funny. However, it is a camp that is devised for people under the umbrella failure to launch. There's activities where these campers come together and they support each other, and they understand that they have this common ground, and to gather new perspective and understand that failure does not have to be the end. It's only the beginning, and that we learn and we improve and we go back to the drawing board and we find out things about ourselves that we didn't know before we took a risk and failed. So failure, in my mind, is opportunity. And if you start to look at that, putting that positive spin on it, it really is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to reflect. It's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for maybe something else to happen. And it's okay if something else happens, because that something else could be beyond your wildest imagination, like beyond the possibilities that you ever thought of. So it's okay. Failure is okay. It's stepping stones to your path. So with that said, this week is all about feedback, and it's the name of the assignment is peer feedback. I understand that you guys will know this, but I have to put this out there because even I even get this with my campus class when I'm in front of them telling them. Peer feedback means what? What do you have to do on this discussion board? Anyone? What do you think, an assignment that says peer feedback, what do you think you ultimately have to do on the discussion board? Amanda?
I think it's more than just a pat on the back, you did a good job. It's more of a, well, you did the assignment well, but I think that maybe you can improve on this. I really liked this, and maybe you shouldn't do that kind of thing.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, and we're gonna go over all of that. I asked you guys when you uploaded your first draft to also upload it to the peer feedback discussion board. Understand that does not mean that you're done. Just uploading the link to your presentation, yes, it's going to give you a green check mark, but you need to return back to the discussion board to offer feedback to your classmates. So please remind yourself that even though you have that green check mark, you need to go back, and the name of the assignment is feedback. So sharing that link is the equivalent of putting your name on an essay that you're turning in. Does that make sense? The points are not awarded for putting your name on the essay. The points are awarded for what your research within the essay. And that what this assignment is about. You're providing extensive constructive feedback. Now, you all have been doing this since week 1. To be honest with you, with all the discussion boards, providing insight and commentary and support. You've all been doing this since week 1. And I will have to say that to the point where it's awesome. I just love going on the discussion boards and reading over what you guys have to offer. So in essence, you already know what to do. Now it's an assignment called peer feedback. So just to go over briefly how to receive and how to give feedback. These are both important rules to understand the power that each individual has to help one another. It has to work both ways. By human nature, we are defensive people. That goes without saying. Whether we're conscious of it or not, we're defensive people. So you, in a way, in order to be able to evolve and grow, you have to change your perception. And in receiving of constructive feedback, know that that person has your best interest at heart. They're there to support you. They're taking the time out of their day and their own research to offer you guidance. So you want to cultivate a growth mindset. Like, this person is out for my best interest. They're out to help me or support me to grow and evolve. Take credit for your mistakes. I know I'm not the only one in this room that has people in their life that are blamers. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I call people in your life blamers? Amanda capitalizes yes. I usually raise both of my hands. So, and this hurts you. This hurts them. It hurts them. It hurts you. You're not allowing yourself to reflect. And if you take credit for your own mistakes, then you have this new awareness about yourself and you can improve and you can move on. But if you pass the buck or you play the blame game, then you are never making that validation for yourself. You're not taking that and improving because it's someone else's fault. It's not your problem, it's someone else's problem. So take credit for your mistakes and own them. Own them. It's okay. That's how we learn. Focus on self-improvement. Learn from criticism. Again, these all kind of fall into the same category. And find lessons and inspiration in success of others. One thing that I love about being an educator is that I get to celebrate your victories and I get to witness your inspiration and what makes you tick and how successful I know you're going to be just based on what you have accomplished already. So letting go of maybe being envious or jealous, look to that as an inspiration or motivation skills. Like, I want to get to that point. That person is so confident. They own everything that they say. I want to get to that place. So use it as a motivation. Okay, how to give feedback. First of all, you want to create safety. And I hope that in the time that we've been together, we've built this community and everyone feels safe that they can offer their opinions without backlash, without being judged, that and having that idea that we're creatively diverse, and it makes it interesting. It gives us new perspectives, maybe even a new perception on an idea or a concept. I hope that we have created safety. And how could you do this as an individual? How can you start your feedback and um, make the person receiving your feedback feel safe? How could you do that? I hear typing. That's a good thing. Okay, Kristen, put some positive reinforcement with the comments. Absolutely. And that's the very next thing, be positive. Yes, that allows a balance. It allows a balance of, okay, I have some suggestions for you, but this is what compelled me to read forward, or this is what really struck me about your presentation. However, uh, maybe why not uh, use a bolder image, or why not, what if you did this? What if you did that? So positive reinforcement, absolutely. But you could do this very simply. Just the start. Just the start. Everyone wants to be acknowledged. They want to know that they exist. So a salutation, a simple salutation, like, hello, Amanda, you're creating this relationship. So even though it is online, you're addressing the person by name, you're acknowledging their existence, and you're building a rapport and a connection. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, so always address them by name. And of course, be positive, be specific. So I think Kristen had mentioned this in the beginning, where you wanna say things like, "What if you change this?" Or, you know, um, it might have been Amanda. I'm sorry if I'm miscommunicating that, but you want to be specific. If you are saying, "That was awesome, man," the person receiving that feedback maybe feel good for 2 minutes, and then they're gonna question, like, okay, why am I awesome? Like, what about my presentation is awesome? Especially, like, if a presentation's 100%, great, but that person still wants to know what they did that was so awesome so they can continue to do so. Uh, Even an A+ paper could use feedback and could maybe change things up or do things differently, even an A+ paper. That's why even if I give 100, I'm still giving extensive feedback. I'm pointing out things that were spectacular and strong, and that gives you the opportunity to take that with you as you regress through the program. So be specific. If there's something on, say, for example, slide 6, that they can make a photo bigger, or they can take out the text, tell them and point that out. Give them the opportunity to make those changes and make those adjustments. Be immediate. I know this is kind of common sense, but we get distracted very easily. So if you are watching a video and then you're like, oh, I'm hungry, and you go make yourself something to eat, and then you come back to start writing out your feedback, what happens in that time? You miss part of it, okay? And it takes away from being specific, and your feedback becomes more general and vague. It's almost like you're stressing yourself out trying to remember everything that you watched in that presentation, and you're scrambling for things, or you come to the point where you have to watch it again, and then who has time for that? Especially from my perspective, when I have this month, I have a little over 70 students, and I couldn't imagine having to watch each and every presentation more than once. It happens sometimes, going back and really want to dive into it. But watching 70 presentations more than once is very, very time consuming. So you want to be immediate. And then the last thing is pride, tough love. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go Simon Cowell on your peers, but you want to be truthful and transparent. If you are sugarcoating everything, you're not giving that person the opportunity to improve. It's almost like those parents that tell their son or daughter that they sing beautiful, they're the best singer in the world, they're going to be a rock star. And they think that they're doing this their child justice by praising them, but then they become a contestant on The Voice, or even when America's Got Talent, and they're on stage and they sound like cats on a fence, but because their parents fluff them up so much, they have this false confidence, and then they go in front of professionals and falter. And that's a hard lesson to overcome, especially when your whole life you've been told one thing. So you want to provide truth, but you want to keep in mind that truth hurts. So you be mindful, be respectful, be professional. Any questions on that? Cool. Okay, so the peer feedback discussion board if you look at the assignment, and let me pull it up here. Oops. It's not what I wanted to do. Let me pull it up here. Peer feedback discussion board. Okay, so if you look at this, it opened today. It may have opened yesterday. I'm not sure if I did, but it opened today. The first thing you want to do is, if you have not uploaded your first draft to the discussion board, make sure that you're doing that by today. Make sure that it's up there. This is going to give your classmates ample time to go in and give feedback, okay? This is going to close by Thursday. What's that? So the discussion board is going to close by Thursday. The reason for this is that by Thursday, you should have all this feedback from your peers and then have 3 days to go in and really make the necessary tweaks to your presentation, to give you time to reflect on all the feedback, going back from the plans to the first draft to the peer feedback that you'll receive on this board. So this board will close on Thursday. So you want to make sure that you are getting your feedback in by Thursday. Now, there's one disclaimer that I put in there. Did I put it in there? Oh, I thought I put a note in there. I will put the note in here. Okay, for this, what it is, and it is in the instructions, but I will put it up here, and I'll create an announcement also to give you guys reminders. The way that I structure this assignment is that there is no groups that are formed. You are not assigned to anyone. What I would like to see is that you go in and offer feedback to those that do not have feedback first. And there's a really easy way to do this. So if we'll go back to activities. Okay, so you go into class discussion. Now, again, I have to do some more steps than you guys. You just have to click on the assignment. But you could go here and put collapse all. Okay, so once you do collapse all, it's going to give you everyone in the class that is posted thus far. Then next to the person's name, you have, and look, there's Amanda, smiling and happy. Next to your name, it tells you how many replies that person has received. So what I'm asking you to do, especially to give everyone the opportunity to receive feedback, is go to the next person that has 0 replies and reapply to them first. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay. Now, in the instructions, it asks you guys, this is unlike the discussion boards in the past. Now it is at least 3 of your classmates you need to provide feedback for. This is a heavier weighted assignment, so at least 3 of your classmates you need to provide feedback for. And again, if we follow that suit where you go to the people that have 0 replies, I can guarantee that everybody will receive feedback, and it's necessary. It's not only good for the person that's receiving it, but it's good for you as well. What tends to happen is you're going through presentations, you're providing constructive feedback, and then it starts to give you an awareness of things to look for when you are reflecting on your own presentations. So this is a necessary exchange for growth on both parts. Kara, no, you are not assigned specific people to give feedback on. Just as I showed, if you collapse all and you go to the person that has 0 replies first to at least 3 of them, then you're good to go. I do not assign groups for this. Make sense? Cool. It works out so much better this way. I've been doing it this way for a couple of months now, and it's been this way on Canvas forever, and it just ensures everyone gets feedback, and there's no like this person in my group didn't post, or this is not working, or it just makes it so much easier. Oh yes, Kara, I thank you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that confusion. There's some things that I can't change, so I try to change it in the objective, but there are directions are set in place, so there's some things that I can't change, and that's why I'm crazy with announcements. Just to make everything clear. Cool. Okay, that is week 4 in a nutshell. We have another go-to session on Thursday, and that's our time to reflect on the whole week, on the whole month. It's my time to give you guys parting words. I do have a spoken word that I wrote for my students that I like to share. I encourage you, any of you, either here or listening back, I encourage you to come and share your own insights or comments. I would love to hear them all. And then I will also be going over, there's some things that like the student evaluation and the portfolio reflection. But really what I want you to focus on, especially the next couple of days, is that peer feedback. That should be your first priority, is the peer feedback, going in and watching each other's presentations and giving that constructive feedback. The rest is easy, and you have time to do the rest, so don't worry about that right now. Worry about this feedback and making the tweaks on your final presentation, and you are good. Any questions before we leave this morning? Awesome. Well, as always, ladies, it's so nice to share my morning with you, and I appreciate your company. Know that after this, I will be leaving to go into the office. If you have any questions, message me on the board or email me. If you have to call me, I will be in the office as of 11:30 today. It's a little bit of a commute, so if you do need me on the phone, I'll be in the office as of 11:30. But enjoy this week. No pressure, relax. Take everything one step at a time, and I am so looking forward to the final presentations. You guys enjoy the rest of your Monday.